don't know that question you asked me about the unit.
Yeah. I don't know whether they have.
This email right here from the auditor's office has them on there.
It has the unit number,
The vehicle ID numbers.
but they're like 5-digit numbers, aren't they?
Yes.
Well, that's the administrative number that the city has assigned to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you need the 4-digit number?
No, there's like a 2-digit, well, the sheriffs have 2-digit or 3-digit blue letter numbers on them.
Okay.
I didn't know whether it had anything like that.
I'll check.
Yeah, obviously, the jurors, it says constable on it, the other one's generic.
Right. Okay.
One of them says to me.
You ready to answer?
Yes.
Okay, y'all ready?
Sure.
Good morning. We'll call this meeting Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. It's 10:05. We're welcome to everyone here, and I'd ask if you join me in the invocation, please. Father God, we come together today to do your service and duty here to serve the citizens of Wichita County. But we are humbled and awed by the many blessings you give us. We're asking you continue to carry us on through, and let's get by this pandemic and the frustration and the loss and the agony that it is causing. Because we know that this is in your hands ultimately, and we pray for a more favorable outcome than we have right now. Father, we ask you to forgive us for our sins and our pettiness and the things that we have right now that are really disturbing good people to have great communications. And instead, we are falling off into dark places and critical of each other when really that is not what you told us to do. You told us to love one another as ourselves. Father, we ask these things in your name. We ask that you protect those that rush to protect us. It's in his name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
You join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You join me in the Texas.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Take your seats, please. We have a presentation we want to make this morning. You all want to come forward with this leader? You're the honoree. Selena, it's my pleasure, and I see you over there every once in a while, and you always have a great smile, and you always bring us some advice, and we really appreciate that. But it's now being recognized that you're a Wichita County Employee of the Month for September 2021, in appreciation for your outstanding performance, service, and dedication to Wichita County. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
All
very
right.
much. Thank you, thank you.
Commissioners and Judge Gossam, thank you. Just say a few words about Selena here. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to do this, and Eddie, who's our Deputy Chief over Detention. But Selena has been with us since February of 2013, and she's worked in all aspects over in detention. She serves as a shift supervisor, our floating shift supervisor in juvenile detention. And as I was thinking, you know, when we're fully staffed juvenile, we've got almost 50 employees in the department, thing, well, you know, who can I nominate, who can I nominate is deserving. We have a lot of great people that work over there. But the things that stood out about Selena is obviously during this time of COVID, we've had some challenges. And part of that challenge is our staffing, and especially when it comes to female detention officers. And we have to have female detention officers of both sexes, female and male there at all times. And so that presented some problems for us sometimes because we were short. Well, Selena just volunteered to change her days off so that we could continue to meet our responsibilities and ratios there. So that's the thing that really stood out about Selena and nominating her. And I appreciate this opportunity to showcase her to the court. Thank y'all.
Yeah. Can we get a picture?
Sure.
Amy, you got your phone with you? Is that what?
Here, I've got one.
All right.
I charged him.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Bob Hampton Photography.
Yeah. All right. Oh. Says here on my phone, remove Kirk. Did anybody mention that Kirk is a KA?
I watched y'all get the correct one.
Judge, you wanna take your mask off, or, yeah?
Well, they down
I know.
for the
Shot
show.
log in it, thanks, sir.
I know Chris appreciates you wearing it at home, but
Actually, at night.
Thank y'all, appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
Keys asked if she had started a tennis program over there yet or not with that name. Okay, we're down to the part of the agenda for public comments. It is 10:11 at this time. Anyone on the call-in wish to say anything? Anyone else? Okay, it is still 10:11, and we will terminate public comment, although we do allow comment on any of the agenda items. This time I'd ask the court to take action on the consent agenda.
Judge, I'd make a motion. I just have some questions concerning a few here.
Yes, sir?
The first one is on item 9.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to make sure that we get our credit that's due out there. George, that's you, I guess, for the workstation computers and the webcams. Yeah, are you handling that, or Mark, or is that you? It's for the LEC to have Zoom hearings to be paid for by the LEC bond fund.
Okay, that was, actually, from last week or the week before, what that should have been, when I typed up the agenda request, I typed up the cost of the PCs, did not include the webcams and the total cost, so the invoice is $1,300 higher than what we approved in court. That should have just been an adjustment to the
Friday, because I thought the adjustment was this cost. That's the invoice I got.
Well, this may be the wrong time to do it, and Judge, if the auditors, if Matt or Margaret or Cheryl, because these are LEC bond funds, and our credits from the general fund, we had a credit for 2 laptops and the associated equipment is over $5,000. It's right at $6,000. I just didn't want to lose it in the mix, and it's fresh on my mind because we tracked it all out.
I think the credit for the laptops, I got a call last week from the auditor. I believe those are for the DVDs.
They were, and I don't know, George, that they're going to do that. Do you know? Did they mention that? Or?
Do not know.
Okay.
I'm assuming that we have, well, it's my understanding that we have that credit with Microsoft.
You do.
Because I was asked if we wanted to add any more Microsoft direct purchases coming up, and that's a definite no.
Right. Well, what to remember is that we've refunded, we did the shuffle to make sure the DED was in whole. And so the general fund's holding the credit. It belongs to the county, actually. And these LEC funds are specific, and the DED, the way he was paying them for DED was specific. So it may be something other internally you want to use that credit for, but it belongs back to us and not it becomes complicated or a little more complicated when they want to buy it with specific funds and we're holding the credit in the general fund, or LEC funds and we're holding the credit in the general fund.
That can be done by transfer, because trying to get Microsoft to cut a refund check probably is not the easiest thing in the world.
No, they just issued us, Judge, like a PO for the
Yeah,
credit.
for the credit. So all we do is make that an accounting adjustment. I would think the auditor's office would handle that, getting it credited back from LEC funds back over to the
Okay,
general fund.
okay,
And do that. We can do that in-house easier than we can move that amount and call it.
okay. I'll let Margaret know on that then.
Okay, all right, good. Good call.
I see what happened on here. On September 20th, it was approved for $20,422.72. And then George sent an amendment for $22,157.44. That includes the webcams. So the cost on number 9 is the correct one.
Okay.
So it's actually an amendment.
It's an amendment to the previous order.
Yeah, well, the one on 920 was a quote. This one is now the actual invoice.
Okay,
So-
okay.
So it's not, in that case, then I'll second his motion.
Well, and I've got a couple
Yeah,
more
yeah,
questions.
well-
On item 10, that Commissioner Fincannon was asking me, Judge, some questions, and I couldn't, I didn't fully understand what we've done with the pending credit on Tyler that we have.
Okay. We have been paying, this is the SAS fee. Okay. What we haven't paid them is for some of the other software and some other things that were part of the go live process. And you remember, they were gonna call a meeting that we would sit down and agree and go over that, but Kevin hadn't been on the last 3
Okay,
meetings.
okay.
And, you know, we were gonna offer them, what we told them we had to do was they had to adjust the invoice
Right,
and send us the invoice for like half the amount.
right.
Well, they can't seem to do that, so we don't have anything to pay off, and we haven't agreed to pay that total amount,
Okay,
and still wouldn't.
okay. But the SAS fees we have been paying.
We have been
we are-
paying.
That's
okay.
just the monthly fees.
That's the
Yeah, that's the monthly
rolling rate.
operating.
It's paid quarterly.
Which,
Right.
Mickey, it's cheaper than what our old software, we weren't SAS, but our old software monthly
Right.
was. And then 13 and 14, Judge, is this with Lee and with the Sheriff's Department on police services? Is that what that pertains to?
Well, it would primarily be on with the sheriff, and this is not new agreements, these are renewal. I think a little bit change in the wording from where they did it, but Tracy put these on.
But emergency services more deals with the sheriff than it does with the Lee having
More than
to.
that, but, you know, they're a state agency, whenever we have, you know, anything happen, we're pretty transparent to each other. And bail in, but
And I figured as much, I just didn't know how it
Yeah.
impacted us when they had something and we would have something.
So, Commissioner, those agreements, those are gonna work out with Mr. Moffitt, which I did send them to Lee and also to the sheriff's office.
Oh, okay.
And there's been no objection to those documents.
Okay, good deal.
This just allows us to mutually respond to each other's events, so.
It's just an interlocal agreement.
Right.
So it's basically what's gonna go down, who's in charge, and some of the areas.
Gotcha.
But it is something that you all typically do.
Okay.
I worked with Chief Collins' office, and went through the whole thing line by line, we added some stuff, took out some stuff, and just try to, work appropriately.
Okay.
So we have a number of those different forms of things, just, I think we've been working through those, and, bringing them up to date. Okay, anything else on the consent agenda? Okay, we do have a motion by Commissioner Watt, second by Commissioner Fincannon, to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 1 is review and approve the regular bills for payment. Order the county treasurer to disperse payroll and bill payments within 72 hours unless directed otherwise.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Fincan and a second by Commissioner Beecham. Anyone have any comment on the bills? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2 is discuss, consider, take action to accept the lowest quote on a price for equipment, materials, parts, and labor to install a new generator in the Burke Burnett Communications site and pouring a new concrete slab outside of the building for the new generator. Also approve Haygood and Campbell quote to change the location of the propane line to accommodate the concrete slab at a cost of $255. The total cost of the project is $22,993 to be paid from general fund contingencies to lines determined by the county auditor. Mr. McGowan?
So I think y'all a little bit of background on that deal. You've got an opportunity to read it or not. The generator that was out there in Burke Burnett, for some reason started and it just ran itself to death. We don't know if it's a power failure that started it or if it started on a cycle to test itself and didn't shut off, but it ran wide open until it ran out of oil and just couldn't. So the replacement cost or the repair cost on that is between $2,200 and $2,500, but there's no telling on the rest of the motor if it's any good or not. That's for them to get the parts and put it back together and see if it does work.
Ran till it ran out of oil. What's its fuel source? What fuel source?
Propane. It didn't run out of oil. I think it got a low pressure warning. But those generators, from what Stuart Stevenson said, are only meant to run 100 hours and then they automatically shut off. And you have to manually go and restart them because they're not made for 100% duty cycle, if you will. So somewhere or another it ran for more than 100 hours. And just, I guess it just cooked itself. The valves were all stuck in the heads and he doesn't know how bad the crank is scored or whatever. Don't really know.
What, and that's a good question. What was just a 500-gallon tank or a 200-gallon tank or
It didn't
propane?
It didn't run out of propane.
It just-
150 gallons.
It just ran till it,
It just ran. It cycled on and it never shut off. And then apparently, from what he said was, he could tell by the panel that RPMs had increased until it maxed out. And it just-
So was there anything else underlying condition that caused it to burn up? I mean, that just doesn't sound right. We have an emergency generator that we had to rely on for communications that can only run 100 hours, because if we had a tornado, we're gonna be out of power for more than 100 hours.
And
All of our generators are gonna burn up?
all those like that are only run for 100 hours, because when we bought them, they were cheap.
they're smaller. They are,
They're like residential. If you ever go into Lowe's and you see that little generator sitting there by the front door, that's what it is.
they weren't
One of the
big
cheapest
generators.
Auto start generators you can get. Changeover switch.
But, you know, normally you have those, you might say, okay, we're gonna have someone go by there, keep a record of how long it's run, because it's a tornado could leave us a long time. The snowdemic kept us out
Yeah.
of power for a long time.
3 days.
Yeah, generally, that lighter, non-commercial generator worked with the occasional lightning storm outage. We learned after the snowdemic thing that you can be out longer, and as you aptly said,
Yeah.
a tornado could take us out for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah.
So that generator didn't run during the power outage. It had power at the site.
Yeah.
There's a panel on the thing that has some diagnostic codes and whatnot, it tells how many hours. So on this particular one, when Stuart Stevens went out there time before last service, they had 37 hours on it. This time when he went, it said 187 hours on it. So it's scheduled to run just a few hours once a month, and it's hard programmed into the panel, into the generator, you can't change that. So it ran, over 100 hours reliable.
I didn't see here, who's doing the slab work? Oh, he's,
Yeah, there's 3 quotes in there. One for the generator, one for the slab,
oh, okay.
and one for him to put it in. And then there's a 4th one from Haygood and Campbell, because where the propane line runs up to the building, that's where the slab's gotta go. So it's gotta be pulled out of the building, pulled back for the slab. and brought to the-
The only thing I don't really, before that generator was inside the building,
Right?
and now we're putting a generator outside the building.
Because
It won't fit in there.
And it's bigger KW.
Right.
So this was the smallest 100% duty cycle commercial generator that I could get a quote on. And I got 3 quotes. And they were all quite.
So were we gonna have to end up putting a building over it?
No, they were coming with a watertight enclosure. Ideally, what I would like to do is not have an enclosure, put it back in the building, and, have it run and be protected, but this generator's too big.
Right.
So if we had known this, probably when we built those sites, I'd have pushed the partition wall back where the equipment is, communications equipment, maybe turn the generator, but it's way too late for that now. And these are made to be outside, so.
I just wondered if we're gonna, 6 months from now, we're gonna have to build a building to cover it. But it's a totally enclosed.
Yeah, it's totally enclosed, commercial type generator.
Okay.
How
Ma-
long is this gonna take, you think, to get that done?
Cummings said the generators are 30 weeks behind to get them here, get it here.
Okay.
Ridiculous. And Stuart Stevenson, I believe theirs was even longer.
So do we have a small generator to put in that building for temporary?
Well, I could bring one over there and drop it off, but more than likely, if we had a problem, I would just take a portable that already had them take it up there. Because it's gotta be put outside anyway to run, so I might as well just carry one up there when they go, sit outside, start it. Just those little portables, they don't have much of a fuel tank, so I have to go back pretty often.
So our contingency is just to put a portable.
I've got 2 or 3 of those little portables. I'll
Okay.
just take one up there and just run extension cord directly from the critical equipment to it. They won't run the AC, but they run the equipment. But I do, I could get a bigger one from Wichita Falls or whatever, if need be, but if it's a big disaster, it's probably gonna be. I'm a little bit leery of having them break.
Yeah, over 6 months out, it's quite a bit.
First, I thought it was blue, so now it's not 30, it's 0 into the 3. It comes to me,
Then I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve that.
I'll
Second. Lee, are you aware of any big units that are getting long in the tooth that we're going to upgrade, that we have that are, I'm got mine on Stuart Stevenson list now, and you might note that because I think Electra Tower being so close to me can be confusing to them, but they cautioned me when they went out there that I'm getting to the end of life and that there's some components they can't get for my unit anymore.
I remember seeing that when we went out there with the other first time.
Didn't we talk about whether it was possible to tie that building into the one at the tower
It was not possible
because of the distance?
because of the distance and the voltage drop. We would have to have expense and get easements and trench that, put conduit, pull wire that far.
Okay. I knew we looked at it, I couldn't remember the outcome of it. One of the things, Lee and I had a meeting, and I told him I would get him, we had that list of generators, Commissioner Harvey, we can get that project done for as well. And so we need to look and be sure we've got, because when you said I'm on Stuart Stevens' list, you may or may not be, I don't think we
Well,
ever.
no, I
got
just did it
Yeah.
myself, Judge,
Yeah.
just in the last 2
Yeah.
weeks. I'd called Lee to understand it better, and then I called Stuart Stevenson and made sure that they
Yeah.
put us on twice the year plan.
But we need to be sure the big LEC generator is on there, the other ones that I heard these buildings that we've got that, so that we can have some sense of reliability of them.
You might also add on the generator work that. So the generator also, which is good for them.
See, I wonder if they want to contribute.
You might want to charge rent too. too.
Will they?
That's very good. Okay, we'll leave well alone. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Fincannon, second by Commissioner Watts. Anyone on the conference call or in the audience have a comment? Hearing none, I will call for the vote then. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Lee, for that work. Item 3 is discuss, consider, take action to approve payment of the Wichita Falls Endodontics PLC invoice in the amount of $1,743.50 for dental work for the inmate patient to be paid from Department 409, non-departmental contingencies with appropriate lines determined by the county auditor. This was about as disastrous of a communications event as I've ever tried to sort out.
Mauled.
Yeah. We had a person and was trying to get this all done. This process took from March to June. And I told the office manager at Endodontics, why would you have gone ahead and done a procedure without having approval for payment? She said, well, I was told by the person with WellPath we would get paid. Well, okay, but did she tell you, did you find out whether that was your regular rate or Medicaid rates? Well, no, we didn't. We just were trying to take care of the patient. I'm sorry, when we got that much lap in our time, there were a few more days to get it straightened out. But she had a wrong email address from the dentist trying to get our people. Cell phone number she called, she didn't get answers from. She did try to call Indigent Healthcare. We never got it together, and Indigent Healthcare couldn't find any record. Well, the phone calls, things could happen there, but the email, when you got a wrong email address, but it wasn't bouncing back. I don't know why they didn't get it returned that way, saying that it was a valid address. We talked with WellPath about it because I think everybody has some problem in it. I have additional documentation on the bills and this other, if you all would like to see those. And what I'm handing you right now is a document from WellPath saying that they would be glad to chip in $500 on the bill. The net bill is different than what you see in your packet. The net bill is $1,450.88. I told the office manager that sent me the email requesting this that we would discuss it in court, that I didn't feel the full bill would get paid by us.
Well, Judge, this indicates that the bill is $1,743.50. Is that less 500 already?
No.
Oh.
That's why I'm handing you this. Okay, there was some additional work that wasn't part of the plan on tooth number 8 or 9. Took me a while, I don't know who numbers these, the tooth fairy or who. But at any rate, they did work on a tooth that his mother was going to pay for. So she came back and paid her portion of that. They didn't charge us for the evaluation they did to determine what needed to be done. I gave you a document that WellPath has agreed to pay $500 of that. And what we need to decide to do, our amount we would have normally paid had it been done, if it were even covered by indigent, which is not exactly the case. We've been looking at $292.62.
That would have been our cost?
That would have been what Medicaid would have paid for that if that were covered under indigent health care. And so we have expenses that we pay for inmates that are outside of the normal indigent health care because we have a responsibility to provide basic medical care for that. But we did have a meeting. Lieutenant Spiegel was on there, and we all talked about nailing down this procedure, that never should WellPath commit to payment unless they're going to pay it, that has to be done by the command structure within the jail. And while Indigent Healthcare might come up with what a payment rate would be for that, or actually the auditor's office.
Auditor's office
Yeah,
would.
actually the auditor's office does that.
Indigent Health would just show the eligibility.
Yeah.
Is all.
But by Texas law, all inmates are considered indigent unless proven otherwise. And so at any rate, you know, what hits me with this is we all have some guilt in this, and it is to take that bill and take the 500 off and that we're getting from WellPath and split that with the dentist, and so they would get WellPath's 500, and then we would split the 900 and something from, that's the balance after the 500 off of it.
Split it with.
So
So
split it with the
it's
dentist
slightly
office?
over
Split it
the-
with the dentist office.
Slightly over the Medicare rate.
Well,
So that'd put us about 450 then.
Yeah.
And the Medicare rate was what? What did you say?
292.
292.
but do they do Medicare work, Judge?
Well, they don't normally.
Well,
It
why
was
are
a
we
bad
penalizing them?
It was bad communication.
Because they didn't get approval to pay, they did the work without getting it prior approved, basically.
Well, they got it approved from who they thought was in charge to approve it, I think.
Well, but that person says, well, I told them they would get paid, but I didn't tell them what they would get paid. So, you know,
Or from who, or,
yeah.
I think that's a fair assessment.
And it had this, you know, it just bothers me that
But I mean, we've talked to the dentist office about eating the
And-
additional.
I told them I would bring this to the commissioner's court and we would come up with what we would propose as a solution to it. And I have told her, I said, I think there's enough guilt here to go around for everybody to be in.
I think-
Whether they like it or not, or whether they want to come try to change that, but it's whatever we decide today. If you all wanted to, you could pay them the balance of that.
Jeff, the way, what I'm kind of understanding is, this is a proposal to them. We're proposing to pay this much. I guess they could refuse to accept it and want to come back and talk to the court and see if they can get all their money. But is that
Yeah,
kind of true?
Yeah, but we don't have to do it. I mean, we could stick to our 292 and give them the 500 and say that's, you know, but I felt like that we didn't get this closed around the way we should have, but, you know, probably the least of the guilt. Because every one of us have been through the battles with your insurance company. Your doctor won't do something until they get
Yeah, they won't.
confirmation of it.
So what's the exact figure
Yeah.
then?
Just a second. 475.44.
And that would just be a
Offer.
proposed offer to them
Yeah.
to settle that deal.
If that's what you do, I will go back with an email to them saying we deliberated this in court, and this is what we're offering.
I don't see anything wrong with that. I'd propose to make a motion
I'll
to make that
second
offer.
That's a good faith offer.
Is this a company that we normally work for? I mean, they work for us?
No, they're not. Our contract dentist referred it out, said he didn't have the equipment to do it. It
And-
was a root canal, we don't do those.
That should have been the first red flag that we're
Yeah,
not paying
and-
for it.
And like I say, it was about as bad a communication thing I've ever dealt with.
Tracy, you're on board with this?
Well, she just now heard it.
Yeah, I knew that this was an ongoing thing, but I don't have the insight.
It's really no different than an insurance company. An insurance company would do the exact same thing. They would make you an offer, and say, "Yeah, this is what we're willing to pay you," to the doctor's office. They can take it or not. They can fight it, but that's just the way insurance companies are.
Well, I look at it this way, I think coming up with $975.44 sure beats $260 62 something.
And for something that's been going on half a year,
Yeah.
Right.
I think that it's a good faith offer to resolve.
Yeah, there was some failure on numerous parts.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Fenton, your motion then is to approve an offer of $475.44 against the bill.
Yes, included with their 500 from WellPat.
Yeah. And just what may happen is WellPath may want to either pay us.
Credit us, yeah.
credit us.
From the way this looks, they want to
They're gonna
credit us.
So,
We would have to write the check for the full
Yeah.
amount and just get
Yeah.
it reimbursed from WellPath. Does the motion have to show that we
Yeah,
can
let's
write the
do it.
check for the full amount of the 900, whatever?
So full payment would be $975.44.
Yes.
With the 500 reimbursement from WellPath.
Yeah.
I'll second that amendment.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Judge, can I ask, who is WellPath? Is that a Fed bunch?
No, sir, that's our jail mental and medical health care contract.
WellPath.
Yeah, WellPath, formerly known as Southwest Corrections Medical Group,
Oh, okay.
and still
I didn't
known.
realize they changed their name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they still kept the other name.
Not so well and not on the right path.
What'd they say, it's all in the name? Okay. All right, any other comments? Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Let me skip down to Mr. Crutchfield's item. It's item number 6, discuss, consider, take action to approve estimate of electrical and HVAC to move split system from the first floor server room to the second floor server room. Mr. Crutchfield?
Well, it's more mine,
Oh, it's
Ricky's
more yours?
items, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's several items involved in that. It's moving the split system that we have in the lower server room up to the new server room to provide a backup system. It also moves all the current mini splits that are up on the ledge down to ground level in preparation for future work to open that, take the wine rack or the pigeonholes or whatever off of the building someday, so we don't have air conditioners up in front of the windows, yeah. Yeah, or you can't maintenance them or anything else, so,
What is the,
there's.
Is that,
no dollar amounts on there?
There is, I'll have to pull out
the split system that's there now, is it outside by
I
that
have
shed that we were talking about last week or so? Is that where that unit resides that's in George's server room now?
No, sir, I think the one we're actually talking about moving is the system that's in the ceiling,
Yeah,
because the system that's in the ceiling in the new server room or the old telephone room, it's fried.
Oh,
So you take the one that's in the ceiling, move to the second floor, and I think we're gonna floor mount it.
we're gonna floor mount it, so we don't have to worry about water or anything like that, so.
And then move the condensers on the second floor porch down by the generator so that they're not catching pigeon food all the time.
So,
Well, question I have,
Yep.
with our HVAC guy that's now employed by the county, why are we not moving the mini splits ourselves? Because it's not a time issue, we could just, why are we not trying to do that?
It is partially time issue.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get some of that stuff moved so that we can get the plumbing in the existing server room done.
yeah,
Because, mini splits are not overly technical. I mean, I've put
No.
in some, so I know a HVAC guy can do it.
yeah,
So,
and he could do it, but like George said, we have a plumbing issue that we've been trying to clear that whole first floor server room out for a while. We've got to get it done,
Yes, sir.
so,
I was told that the drain, that really elaborate drain system you all set up with the canvas that runs it into the hose going out, that was stuffed into that conduit that had the,
Come to find out, that's exactly where it went.
Oh, is that, what-
We pulled that out and they have it going on the ground now. I did not realize that was where we had ran that until started.
so that's why it backed up in juvenile?
Yeah,
Thank you.
my bad, you know, but it could have been in the server room if we hadn't ran it down the
Yeah.
pipe. So, you know, 6 one-way, half a dozen the
yeah,
other.
yeah.
So,
Well, it lasted a while that way.
It did.
So you're going with the daily electric?
yeah, there's 2 sets of bids here. There's electrical bid. We have three quotes for electrical, the low being daily at $3171.40. I would make a motion to approve the daily electric bid at $3171.40. And there's 2 bids for the air conditioning work that's required. And I'll make a motion to approve the one from Trinity at $3120.
And it doesn't, how many units are you moving? Because this bid doesn't really,
It
it doesn't say how many.
There's 2 condensers on the ledge and then the 1 mini split, so it's 3 in total that are being moved.
Okay. If you look at this, which,
And
Which
that is,
estimate?
Mark, that is needed to have all of those? I mean, is there an upgrade that we could do that satisfy it with 1 condenser instead of running 3?
It's a question better ask of Ricky, and I called him to see if he could be here, and he was at Lowe's, so.
I wonder if one of those condensers on the ledge goes to the unit that's in the.
It
ceiling
may
down there.
very well. It may very well.
We may just need to.
none of these James Lane and the Trinity both show that you're moving 1 unit. So they're moving more than 1 unit?
They're moving everything off of the ledge.
How many units? That's what I'm getting at. You made it sound like it was
There's-
multiple units.
Well, but that,
The one on the ledge, and then I'm assuming they would move the condenser that's outside the existing server room, where they moved that unit in the ceiling. No.
The reason I'm asking is the bid shows to relocate 1 mini split unit from the condenser to the southwest ground, southeast ground next to building.
One way we can handle it, I'll call Ricky and get him on speakerphone.
Because he doesn't have this material in front of him. You want to try it? I mean,
We can. He knows the job.
well, can you call him and have him call in on that?
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
You about back to the courthouse? Yeah, come on up. Yeah, we're discussing it out now. Right, Ricky. He's on the way up.
Oh, okay.
It also mini split. Because Trinity's also shows 1 unit.
As I say, that may be why was 1 higher, because they're showing 2. Now, Ferguson Berry's addresses, sounds like 2 units in their description. They talk about the old unit and the other unit.
Mark, did you find the owner of the building, the little shed? Or who's
Not yet,
using it or
no. Thanks, Ricky. We have a few questions. It looks like the Trinity bid only shows moving one unit. Is it, we're moving the mini split from the first floor server, but we're also moving everything off the ledge. Does everything in the Trinity bid include?
So what this is including, or what all these are including, is we're removing the old condenser up there altogether, that's up on the second floor.
On the ledge?
On the ledge,
Yeah.
right, because it's,
Is it abandoned? It's just
Yeah,
abandoned unit?
the unit, the second part of it's in the ceiling up there. It's not serviceable, you can't even get to it, and it's not working. So that's why we're taking this other system that is in good shape, relatively new, and installing it. But it's gonna be in the room and not in the ceiling. Then everything on the ledge is going down. So there's nothing on that ledge anymore.
So that's what it consists of.
The reason I ask is the Trinity invoice shows to remove unit 1 from the floor hanging in the ceiling and install on platform in the second floor. That's that one mini split.
No,
Or-
that's our split system.
Okay. That's the only thing it addresses. Condensing unit will be set on the ground. Is that the one you're talking about that's on the ledge right now?
So the mini split condenser that's up there will be relocated to the ground. The
Okay.
mini split that's in the room stays. We're just extending it and putting it on the ground. And then the one they're moving is coming out of floor number 1. The unit, air handler's up in the ceiling. They're removing that out of the ceiling and moving it over and installing it, in a upright position
And-
on the second floor.
Okay. The only reason I ask this is if you look at just the, all right, come here just a second.
The bid doesn't show,
What you just explained, read those 5 sentences. It doesn't quite cover the same thing that you just
So
said,
they propose to remove the unit from the first floor hanging in the ceiling.
right?
That's the air handler. They're taking it out. Installing it on the platform and on the second floor in the closet.
Right.
So
That's-
that's the air handler.
That's the same item, yeah.
Yep. Condensing unit will be set on the ground. Right.
we'll also move
That is attached to that
That's the one
air
that's
handler.
on the second floor.
It's on the second floor now, is gonna be on the ground,
Okay.
instead on that ledge.
But it is a separate unit from the one that we just talked about in that first sentence.
There's 2 systems we're talking about here.
I know, and that's why I didn't really see 2 systems in that.
The ceiling and install the platform, or the unit on a platform in the second floor closet, which is the IT room. Condensing units going on the ground for that system.
We'll
Then they're
also
also
move the
moving
mini split condenser to the ground level.
Okay.
It's just the way they wrote it is
Yeah.
not clear.
All right.
It does address
I think
it.
I'd sure go over it with them before they start, make sure
Yeah.
we got that, yeah.
All right. That was my main, because it really, if you look at this, it seems like we're leaving out some things.
It's, yes, sir, it's there, it's just this,
Okay.
the way it was put together is
Not very clear.
not.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet.
So, do I need to restate?
What you might consider in this, because all these things can run, I'd allow maybe up to $7,000 come out of permanent improvement fund
Okay,
to do this.
okay.
I'll second that motion.
It's much needed to
Yeah.
provide
But that'll take
backup.
care of the electric and the
That'll
air
take care of
conditioning.
Electric, air conditioning, and get everything off that ledge and run down the corner. and Camouflage the best we can.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Beecham, second by Commissioner Watts, to approve up to $7,000 to be paid from the permanent improvement fund for these modifications, which Davie Electric's bid is $31,7140 for the electrical work, and Trinity is $31,20 for the HVAC work.
Correct.
David? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, thank you. George?
Wasn't trying to be corrupt.
No,
just trying to
I see where you're coming
understand.
from, yeah.
Okay, let's go back to item number 4, or wait a minute, let's go to number 5, since Ricky's here. Commissioner Beecham, this one is to discuss, consider, take action to approve or re-advertise request for proposal for HVAC maintenance and repairs for county buildings. That's the ones that there's not a total price because we don't know how much work we're
Right,
going to
it
do
was
that year.
just for our maintenance and repair and the like. We only had one respondent on that. We did have one that came in considerably late, that has remained unopened. I would really like to re-advertise that and see if we can get more respondents and see what else is available.
So your motion would be to reject the bid received
My
and re-advertise?
motion would be to reject and
You know, Mark,
re-advertise.
that was that bid, I saw that, where was it, Nan? You were gone, maybe. Lori was here, because I asked Lori. It was hung in them other bids. What other bid, what bids did we do when Lori was here?
We didn't
Yeah,
get it by
mail
mail
didn't-
until that afternoon. They mailed it on Friday, and it got here Friday afternoon.
Okay, okay. I remember seeing that, but are you thinking, Mark, that there is somebody that's going to come in better than,
I don't know. So, like I said, I left that other bid unopened, and I do have at least one other that has expressed interest in at least bidding the project, so.
I just, on some of this, and I know, and this from experience here, that we went with the cheaper price deal, but I don't know that we got any very good service out of the whole deal. And
Yeah.
I can attest to Trinity's professionalism and Johnny on the spot attitude. And Willie, you may have some comment on this. You did, a while back when we transitioned over away from them, and I've always thought they've done us a good job. Trinity.
I would agree with that. Jeff?
I do have a
They would
question.
be better than what we've had in the past.
I do have a question about this. Since this is an ongoing, these are just service calls. That's what this is. This is it's a service call. Why do we pick one company to only go with that? Because
So they
I
can learn
realize,
and understand the systems that we have and have some continuity.
Well, and
It
the
goes
other,
back to the bidding laws.
Yeah.
and,
there you go.
but we don't have,
That you're going over the $50,000 limit for one vendor, and, which I don't agree with, because
we might not have any service calls in 2022. We might not have anything break.
Good luck
It's,
with that.
but I'm just saying, these are service
Too
calls.
late if you've been drinking.
What I'm, but just like tires, if my truck breaks, I got a flat, I can call 3 or 4 different tire companies, see who has the best price at that time. This is an item that I don't really understand why you would want to
The reason-
lock in,
The
but-
reason it exceeds $50,000 a year, and previous council reviewed it and said we need to be bidding those things out that we know are gonna run in excess. And
So can we, okay, no different than a rock supplier then, can we approve one and approve this one as an alternate?
That's
Or
what I
this
kind
one
of
is
wanted to
a,
do, and I only have one bid. But part of this is to do our air filter maintenance. So we're always gonna have that, and I know that's one of the things on our current provider is we feel like we're not getting the service on our air filter and belt and all that kind of maintenance that we need to be.
Is that, Mark, nothing we can do in-house?
no, we
And I would
could.
like to move that in, and begin to move that in-house, and we talked about that as when we get the new area built downstairs, we've talked about custom building a table where we could cut filter media. Right now, when we're talking filters that are as big as that table, we have no way to do that. No place to store it, no way to do it. but that is something that we have talked about in the future. We're just not capable of right now.
There's just these are all individual service calls is what I'm getting at.
Right.
It's not one, competition's a good thing. I think that what I saw on invoices at the time that I've been here, you can write whatever you want. It don't matter what you bid per hour. If you bid that you're doing it for $100 an hour, but every time you come out here, you're here for an hour and a
4 hours and
half
3 texts.
instead of 45 minutes, then it changes it tremendously, so.
Trace, how does that play in your mind?
I agree with Commissioner Fincannon in that if you have a project, I mean, a specific project that you know what needs to be done.
Then you can bid that job.
If it's gonna go over $50,000, then you need to bid it. But an individual service call, each individual stands on its own.
Correct.
in my mind.
It does, that, to me, it stands on its own, but
I was thinking about like if we had D-Lin do work for us on 6 different cases and it came in.
That's apples and oranges.
Yeah, that's
Here's the thing.
professional service.
We know we should be replacing these filters every how many months in a year. And so when you start trying to piecemeal it, it can look like we're trying to avoid the bidding laws. And we're not. So while I understand.
and the filter service call to me, the whole year, I can see that being all one deal. But having a service call for an air conditioner at my precinct barn, and then having a service call for 1 unit up on the roof of this building, those are all standalone projects that you don't know when they're gonna break. I don't,
But then Tracy, under that guise, then I may spend $18,000 this year, but I've locked myself into one person.
And you may spend $100,000 and you lock yourself in.
Well,
I mean, you're basically looking in your crystal ball.
we've been locked into using the same provider since I've been here, and there's a feeling that we're not getting the service that we need.
Yeah.
So
But
doing it this way would let us do the same proposal every year, just like we do rock and everything else.
Yeah.
If we're not happy with our provider, we move on.
Rick?
As far as the filter service, we can do that in-house. Actually, I've done it already. I've done the courthouse, I've done the annex. I'm fixing to do a survey over to juvenile, get all those filters figured out, what all we need. I've got a list of when they've been changed, when they're due. So that can be handled in-house. No problem. I don't see a problem with that at all. Some of the service work's being handled in-house. It's not going out.
Right.
We're just taking care of it. So a lot of times it just comes to those emergency type situations. And when you have an emergency, you make a phone call to 3 vendors and 2 of them typically tell you a week. And one of them says I can be there tomorrow or today. That's who you want to call. I mean, it's just because you've got a situation and you just don't have time to wait 24 or 48 hours or a week, whatever it is. So I think that's how I kind of judge who I call.
I mean, we all do. In real business, that's how you have to do it, and you can't do it by whoever was the low bid for something that you don't know what you're bidding yet. I mean, I think you need to have the ability to call multiple
And we
service
have on
providers.
some projects. This case in point is this or the mini split being mowed. We called all the providers and asked for quotes. And we put it on the agenda
Yeah,
for approval.
I do think we need to, and Ms. Jennings, you may want to weigh in on this, but we do need, if whoever we select, and they say we can't get to that for 3 days, and we're in the middle of a critical operation of court hearings or something or other, and we need that, then we need to move on to, have that in our agreement with them, that they know we're going to go to the next provider.
And Tracy, the example that comes to my mind, what the judge is saying, is the lift station pump broke out at the jail, and we were having difficulty with our standard. And then as we called around, we still had delays across the board, and we had to go to a completely new individual or company to actually perform that work, and they were able to expedite it and get us in and out. But that's what comes to mind when the judge it was a plumbing thing, but it was
But it's plumbing or it's
critical.
asphalt.
Do we only use one electric company, service provider, to fix anything we have? Do we have a bid for that?
We don't have a bid for that.
So why don't we have a bid for it? We have electrical that breaks.
Well,
We don't,
That's what I'm getting at.
but
Why
not to
does,
not to the level of air conditioning. We don't have it, that I recall, if it's exceeded 50,000, if you look at it year end, but you've had bids like this for the electrical for projects.
what about as far as plumbing? Do we have a plumbing?
Well, I know we
Contractor?
bid it because
And you probably should, yeah.
Wilburn,
Wilbur McCabe does most of our plumbing.
But does we have a
We
bid?
do not have a bid.
That's what I'm getting at.
no,
It's
we
no
didn't.
different.
We need to.
went out to bid, and then it didn't seem like we had the correct response, and then we never took it.
Nor have we had the correct response on HVAC.
Okay, we're doing something about that. Let's find
Okay.
something out.
All right.
So what I heard Commissioner Beecham say was that what he was trying to do was get enough bids where y'all could sort through and we could have.
Alternate.
We could have plan B.
Right.
So when we have this issue with somebody not getting to us, we're cycling back through. I mean, that's what I understood.
Then we need to, then I would probably say we need to have that written up to where
Yeah.
if you can't service us when we call, we have the ability to call the next on the list.
That doesn't have to be.
That would-
I mean,
We're just agreeing to a price.
Okay.
All we're doing is agreeing to a price, and we pick the best respondent,
Okay.
and then we can pick an alternate, just like we do rock, and we don't always pick the cheapest rock when
Right.
we pick rock. We pick what's easiest for the county if it's a closer haul for us.
Well, that's lowest and best price,
Yeah.
considering all elements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm trying to do here. We haven't done this since I've been here. It's something that we need to do.
Commissioner?
Yep.
The court went out for service proposals for maintenance services for HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and security systems in 2016.
And like I
But
said,
something
I haven't
fell
done that
through
since
or-
I've been here.
Something was amiss. I don't know whether we just got a few of one kind, or I just can hardly remember that, but.
Well, we didn't, it wasn't, we didn't get the response we hoped for.
That's what it
And I quite frankly was surprised that we got two. Unfortunately, one of those was past the time it had to be in. And, we don't know what that is. We're not supposed to look at it by law, so we won't. But you could go ahead and react to this one, or we could go out again.
I would
I
prefer to
going
to
out
go out
again.
again to see if we can get more respondents so we can have a primary and an alternate.
No, I'll second that.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Motion by Commissioner Beecham, second by Commissioner Fincannon, that we reject the bids and go out to bid again to hope to gain more bidders for HVAC services for the county. Any comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
And Mark, will you explain that to Trinity as to, I would feel a little bit odd, I guess, if you rejected my bid and I was the only one, and I'd think you really didn't like me, but that's not necessarily the
that's
case
not-
at
That's
all.
not the case.
No, we've got a great relationship with them, but,
We'd just like to have some more information as
Yeah.
far as other companies.
something
Really,
to
the
compare
reason,
to.
putting it out maybe for rebid, and I would probably tell Trinity this, maybe not enough of these people actually knew there was a bid out for it. Not that we don't like your bid or we're not happy with your service. We're just
No.
trying to get some more
Yeah, I
input
just
on it.
didn't want to have them discouraged.
We're thinking our brother-in-law didn't get it. That's the other comment. Okay. Ken, on item number 4, we'll go back to it, discuss, consider, and take action for the dates for a public demonstration for the new voting equipment and presented by Hart Intercentive and ES&S. Lori did some legwork, talked to both Hart and ES&S. They are available on any of those Mondays and Tuesdays, November 8th and 9th, November 15th and 16th, or November 29th and 30th. The facilities at Impact are available. I asked them, we used the west entrance last time. People can park closer and come in there, and it'd be those rooms you come in on the left that look out onto the river. Had them set up, planned for setting up 100 chairs in there, some tables for them to put the equipment on, and including the PA system. And the price on that rental for 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. those 2 nights in a row is a little over $500. I'm not, yeah. And that's a little more than we're paying for the jury, but we're using that during the daytime and evening times, so I guess more prime. And it's also under the city's management instead of under Spectra. But I also will probably contact the 2 entities about maybe they ought to pay for their night to do that. What does y'all's calendars look like? That's the real decision to be made here.
And tell us one more time, Judge, on the dates.
November 8th and 9th. That's after the
That's
general election on November 2nd.
Okay,
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
And November 15th and 16th, these are in your packet,
okay.
I believe, and November 29th and 30th. I skipped Thanksgiving week.
I'm good on anything.
Yep. I'm good.
Yeah, Judge, I'm open as well, so.
Okay, then I'll check with Commissioner Mahler, he's on vacation this week, and get with the vendors and see what we got.
And that'll run from, you said 5 to 10?
Well, that's the time we're renting it for. The actual
Okay.
demonstration will be more like 7 to 9.
Oh, okay,
But that allows them time to set up, time to tear down, and be able to build it back
okay,
up.
gotcha.
And it'll be one night and one the other, is what they preferred, and Lori did too,
Okay.
so. I plan on, is getting with her, and we'll notify the League of Women Voters, the public, both parties. So, that'll give us good
Thank you, Lee.
feedback what we did last
Thank you,
time.
Lee.
Thank you, Lee. Okay.
Okay.
Let me, if y'all are good on those dates, we'll check Barry, and I'll get those arranged. But there's no action needed to do that. It will be a posted public meeting though, when we do it, because we'll all be there. Okay, the last item, what everybody waits for every week, is the briefing from Commissioner Beecham on courthouse and elevator projects and law enforcement center. Commissioner?
The biggest thing we got going on right now is the annex. They will start laying floor tiles this evening. Last week was quite interesting at the annex with getting the floor work finished. They sandblasted and came back and floated the floor. I think on the first night they used 94 bags of SureFlow mix, and that got us about halfway there. So
Was that in their bid?
it was in their bid. I think they're hurt.
They
They
heard.
got hurt. So the floor looks fantastic right now since they've leveled it, and
And that'll make so much difference, that ain't even
Yeah.
funny.
that floor was terrible underneath. It was bad when the tile was there. It was way worse underneath than what we thought. So by the end of the week, all the tile work will be done.
Well, Mark, were those clean out valves, were they always through the floor or were they hidden under the floor?
There was a couple that were hidden beneath, and they look like they've been concreted over and everything
Okay.
for some time, and they've been recovered. There may be two
That were
that
exposed?
that were exposed, and they will be exposed. Just a mess. It was way bigger of a project, I think, than what they anticipated. Got that. They've finished the sheet rocking and everything around the elevator doors. So, awaiting on wall treatments on that. And it's not too far off from getting that project put to bed finally over there, except for the concrete out in front. We're
And what's the
still-
latest? We're still waiting on,
Still waiting on approval from the city on the plan, which would be to go to a single curb step up planter box as opposed to the block wall planter box. Single curb step up and a higher density shrubbery that would act as a crash barrier of sorts, not nearly as effective as what we wanted to do, but still provide some security. Jail project, we still don't have the Sally Port Bay doors in. I don't know if anything else really moved too much on that project last week beyond that.
Scott called me and I tried to get back to him Friday evening, never heard back from him.
I saw, I had a missed call from him late Friday afternoon as well.
Yeah.
I need to follow up on that. Courthouse project, the intent is to move in a week from next Monday and start work here.
Wow.
So we can start a lot of the work before inmates are out, but well, we can't go too far until they're gone.
And what's kind of that timeline, any ideal right now? as
they don't
far-
want to say right now.
As far as moving them out, no. No, I've got an idea, but I don't know for sure. Dave.
Will it, and that'll stall the project a little bit?
If they're not out, by the time they tell me they're
Okay.
gonna be out by,
Okay.
yes, we will stall the project. 'Cause we've got a date set for the demolition team to be here. And if we're not moved out, then it will stall demolition.
You know that far enough to can't, but, you know, they may want to charge us if,
Yeah.
and then
Well-
how far down the calendar we get them again.
I've got it planned for in the mobilization of the demolition crew being here, but
Okay.
let's hope we don't hit any hiccups.
Once the county will have hiccups.
Let's hope not.
Okay. All right. If there's no other questions on that, then it is 11:18, and we're adjourned. This Friday, we will have a meeting, but it's going to be, we're going to conduct, it'll be a regular meeting.
Regular meeting.
So,
Uh-oh, I won't be here this Friday. I didn't know it was a regular meeting. Where are we having it? Oh, because of the following Monday.
yeah.
Yeah.
Judges, Jim Rasmussen, he's okay?
Yeah, he had a hip replacement.
Okay.
Hip replacement.
So he, as far as you know, everything's healing good?
Yeah, yeah. I think they were going to another wedding in Mexico, wasn't it?
He is, and then going to Mexico, then going to the wedding, yeah.
No.
I just didn't see it in the, I didn't see it in the, in that estimate. Sound like we were moving several things off the ledge.
Well, we'll clean it off the left, whatever falls up there.